Hello there. I'm sure you're like, what the fuck? Why is this person here? Why is this order here? Why hasn't this person just ended it already so we can have our weekly dose of Omegon?
Well, when life gives you lemons.
Well, let me tell you why. He asked me to do a fucking guest video on this, and you're gonna listen, and if you don't, well, you're just on the wrong side of history, and you're just a bad person in general. You're probably a Nazi. No one told you that was gonna be this way. For those who haven't already blown their brains out or tried to slow down the video so you can understand what I'm saying, because I speak as if I've injected coffee and cocaine into my eyeballs, I'd like to say hello. I'm Otterface, or Otter, or Otter McBasementface, or whatever you want to call me, I'm fine. Yeah, this is my video on a topic that is pretty close to my heart. It's the film industry. This is a place that I would love to be successful in, and I've already got myself on a few projects here and there. Anyway, the lovely people at Fusion did a video on diversity in the film industry, and this is my video on it. Enjoy.
We all know that we've got a huge diversity problem.
You know, I actually do want to get into the film industry. My interest is in script writing and also in the production department. I mean, I would love to get a job in both. However, I also have this problem in my head when it comes to this issue, when it comes to diversity. Now, diversity is brilliant, and I will always encourage it. But there's a point where it's starting to become forced. Like, it'll start to become forced, and that's the bit I don't like. I don't want to be in the position where the fact that I'm a woman played a part in me winning and being successful, if I ever do. I don't want to be in that demeaning position where all I'll be thinking is, am I getting this because I deserved it, or am I getting this because I'm a woman? I don't want to be a diversity hire. I don't want to be a diversity award winner. I want my merits to be enough, and that's it. And to the celebrities who cry this kind of stuff, I would love to know what exactly you're doing to solve these diversity problems, because I really don't see it. Like, if you are crying about the lack of women in the industry, then find them, star in their movies, support them, big them up to your friends, encourage women to get involved in the film industry, encourage them to become directors and writers and stuff. Because, you know, it's similar to how, like, a lot of women don't go into STEM, which is why they're not represented that well in STEM. A lot of women tend not to become directors, and that's why you see a lot more men. That's just how it is. If you want more women in directing, tell them to come in and do the directing, instead of telling them that it's a terrible place for women and that it's a boys' club. That's not going to bring any woman to go into there. They're going to think they're not welcome. Yeah, so if you're a celebrity and you're watching this, support them, big them up to your friends, get them involved in your own projects. Same with black people and other minorities. If this is such a serious issue to you, then you would be doing this, but it doesn't seem like you are, and it just seems like a huge virtue signaling campaign, and maybe the reason why you're simply doing that is because you don't want to lose your jobs to new up-and-coming actors and actresses, directors and writers, and so on. Boycotting won't do shit. Recording yourself in a mansion which you paid for because you get a shit ton of roles isn't going to help you. Accepting an award and then going on a little rant about it won't do anything but give you a round of applause from your friends, and then they'll have hundreds of BuzzFeed and HuffPo journalists jizzing in their pants about how awesome and woke you are. You know what will help though, if it is such a problem to you? Actually bringing people into the industry that you want to be there. You have the platform, you have the power to do this. You're not just some random person on the street with a sign telling people to do something. You're not some powerless person on the internet that barely gets any attention. You're not nobody. But if you're not putting your money where your mouth is and following up with what you demand of other people, then shut the fuck up complaining about a problem that you're only going to be complicit in maintaining. Maybe that's actually what the video I'm responding to is saying, which fine, but, you know, adding to it, I guess.
And the Oscar goes to Mark Rylance, Bridge of Spies.
It's a wonderful time to be an actor, and I'm proud to be part of it. Thank you.
Well, Mark, you're a great actor and all, and it might be a wonderful time for some actors, just not everyone.
Well done for bursting his bubble when he was having his shining moments, getting an award that all actors dream of getting. But anyway, besides that, not all actors make it. Not everyone makes it, sadly, and it says a lot about a person, in a good way, of course, when... Not everyone makes it, sadly, and it says a lot about a person in a good way. Using your skin color is just Your skin colour is just a shitty excuse for your failures. I'm sorry, it is. And that's across the board, really, for everybody who blames something on their skin colour. The same way you'll say that people use religion as an excuse, there are people who use their skin colour as one as well. Although I don't think I need to explain this, really. Complaining about it and doing nothing isn't going to help. Also, there are plenty of non-white actors and actresses who have made it in this supposed landscape that seems to, reject black people at every hurdle.
Because while minorities make up 38% of the country, only about 20 to 25% of speaking roles on TV and film actually represent them.
To continue from my opening rant, why don't you just create roles specifically for minorities then? Why don't you just make black characters? Why don't you make Hispanic characters? Why don't you make Asian characters? I commend shows like Luke Cage for at least creating new characters and making more roles for black actors and actresses. Do more of that. If you want to see the change, then be the change. If you want more black characters, then make them. If you want more Asian characters, make them. If you want more minority characters, make them. If you want more female characters, then make them. Don't expect others to do it for you when you seem to have established that they won't do it for you in the first place.
And that clumps together everyone who's not white. Take Latinos, for example. They make up 17% of the US population and show up less than 6% of the time in speaking roles. And Latinos made up 25% of moviegoers in 2014. So what's the deal? We know there are plenty of actors of color out there, so why can't they seem to catch a break?
Maybe they have shitty agents. Maybe there just aren't that many roles for them. Maybe they're not working hard enough for those roles, then being turned down as a result of it. Maybe people are worried that the PC crowd might freak out if they dare to get their desired characters into peril and just don't want to bother in the first place. But like I've stressed, why not make them? Like I've said before, why not make them? Someone got up and made Luke Cage, so take some inspiration from that and get going. Surely it's easier said than done, but you'd get respect from me for at least trying to make a difference instead of saying you'll make a difference and then fucking off and not doing a damn thing. Well, you don't need to get my respect. Who am I? Like, no, I'm just in my little corner of the internet.
And casting directors, producers will come up with whatever excuse they can to not say we're not going to hire a black person.
Because directors and producers are just these, like, KKK, skinhead, Nazi, racist, white supremacists, and they're just trying to keep Hollywood racially pure or something. I mean, that doesn't seem to have stopped people who got Luke Cage rolling. That didn't seem to stop Will Smith, Jada Pinkett Smith, John Boyega, Morgan Freeman, Denzel Washington, and the many, many black actors and actresses that have somehow succeeded in this space, where apparently they'll make any excuse not to hire a black person. What, I mean, if that's the case, then how are you getting work, love? How on earth are you, what miracle? Magic?
But is that really true?
If it was true, then seeing a black person in a film would be a rarity. If it was true, then people like Will Smith and Morgan Freeman and Forrest Whitaker would never have made it at all. Yet alone be nominated for many, many awards in this supposed racist place. If this was really true, then it would be borderline impossible for any black person to succeed in this business. But reality has a different story there, doesn't it?
To help us navigate this casting dilemma, I sat down with Marcy Laroff. She's cast 60 films in her career, from E.T. to Mean Girls.
Sometimes the fingers are pointed at the casting directors.
The point of a casting director is that they're responsible for making sure that they have the ideal actor or actress for each role in a movie or TV show, often based on the actor's experience, ability, look, reputation, availability, and box office appeal. They probably don't have a racist bone in their body.
But it's really our job to think outside the box and bring in actors that we think are amazing, no matter whether they're male or female.
Wait, are you saying that there's only two genders?
Whether they're male or female.
There are only two genders, and I don't care what people say otherwise.
Or whatever ethnicity they are.
I'm probably going to end up repeating myself for most of this, so apologies. But surely if you're casting for a film about Abraham Lincoln, I don't think you're going to be looking outside the box if you want to fill his shoes or for the people in his Congress at the time. I'm sorry, I have a hard time believing you actually do that, since your job as the casting director is to collaborate with the director and the producer, who may call the shots of what their vision is and what they want to see and what they want in their productions. But I guess you know more than me. You are a casting director, although maybe you're just saying that just to give them what they want.
We try to inject that into our casting, and we've been doing that for years.
Well, I guess it isn't working, because these coincidentally out-of-work actors and writers and directors are still claiming they're being discriminated against. But it might be just down to the fact that they haven't worked hard enough, haven't pushed themselves hard enough, or were too lazy to come up with their own material and give themselves work and jobs to add to their resume. The film business, or any business of that matter, doesn't like lazy people. And the business also won't notice anyone who doesn't try. They also won't notice people who don't say a word, or just don't push themselves forward.
How often is race written into the script or the casting call?
Generally, they will specify a race, and when we release a breakdown, we say all ethnicities, unless it will change the storyline.
There you go, there's the explanation right there. But that didn't stop Idris Elba being cast as Roland Deschain from The Dark Tower, who is based on Clint Eastwood. Therefore, the best person would have been Clint Eastwood's son, Scott Eastwood, who would have been the next best thing. And now, because of all this change, the story is going to have to be drastically different, because his skin colour, Roland Deschain's skin colour, does have a significant effect on how he is treated. But that's a video for another day.
Who has the final say in a casting decision?
I don't know of a situation where there's one person making a final decision. There are so many cooks in the kitchen of decision making now.
So what? Should every film crew have a diversity officer or something?
From the immediate filmmakers, the writer, producers, director, then you have the executive at the studio, and then you have the executives at the network. And there are many, many people involved in this that finally get to say yes.
Oh, and they're all racist, right? They just look at a non-white person and think, nope, not having it.
So what would you say is one of the key things that needs to kind of keep changing?
The writing has to change.
No, the writing doesn't have to change. And TV is amazing right now. You could argue we're living like the golden... You could argue that we're living in the golden age of TV right now. Game of Thrones, The Walking Dead, Luke Cage, American Horror Story, Stranger Things, How to Get Away with Murder, South Park, Sons of Anarchy, Rick and Morty, Gotham, Narcos, Westworld, Orange is the New Black, Daredevil, House of Cards, Jessica Jones, Making a Murderer, Orphan Black, and many others. Amazing ideas, amazing people working together to create some fantastic pieces of art. You know what has to change? Maybe people who blame their failures in the industry on someone else, using arbitrary things like skin colour as an excuse, when in reality, they just weren't good enough, weren't what people were looking for, or they just had a shitty agent and they were too polite to fire the fucker and find a better one who will get the good roles for them, or they were too lazy to make their own content. And
people have to start thinking outside the box in terms of the filmmakers, the networks, the studios, the producers. The diverse communities have always been there, but now they're getting many more opportunities. Change is happening. Change takes time.
There you go. They're getting more opportunities, and that change will be gradual. But something tells me you're not going to be satisfied with that. I know you didn't say that Hollywood is a racist place, but there definitely seems to be that impression anyway, given by channels like these. That black people and minority groups are just not welcome in Hollywood, and these places are racist, which is despite the fact that there are countless examples where this isn't the case at all.
But let's say you get cast in a major production. What are the chances that role won't be another token character reinforcing stereotypes?
What's happening, hot stuff?
The actors can refuse to play a character if they think it's a token character or that it's a stereotype that they find offensive. Usually the actors accept these roles and understand what they're going into. So you can't really blame people who cast these people. They go in willingly, no one's forcing people to go into these roles.
I want to try it again, but this time we need you to do an accent.
You mean like an Indian accent?
Yeah.
Maybe that's what they wanted for that particular role. Maybe the role is set in India, so therefore it would make sense. Do you think it would have made sense if the Slumdog Millionaire lead star kept his normal London accent, while starring as someone who has lived in India his entire life?
And just when you thought you had gotten so far, welcome to the diversity issue behind the scenes. Let's say a studio or network has greenlit your inclusive script. You want to hire diverse writers, but all the writers with awards under their belts are white guys.
I'd like to hope that they're more than just their skin colour. They've got awards under their belts for a reason, so why should you blame someone who is playing it safe and go for an award-winning writer, regardless of the skin colour? Have you ever seen those lines on the trailer to a movie where they'll say, from the writers of, or from the director of, for example, Independence Day? The audience might look at that and think, oh, I like Independence Day, therefore I might like this movie as well. And then they'll go and see that movie when it comes out. It's kind of movie distribution and marketing 101. Sometimes risks can be, well, risky, although that doesn't mean they'll never work out. Risks can work out and become very successful. But I don't think presenting this whole thing in this way is very helpful. I don't think presenting it in that way will be very helpful. By suggesting that they don't want to hire diverse writers, or that they don't want to hire someone from a particular group simply because of their skin colour or whatever. It's not exactly going to motivate those writers to get into those places where you're making it seem like they're not welcome. This is why networking is so important. You write for some directors, for some shorts, maybe some few features, get people to know you, word of mouth, blah blah blah, and then sometimes after a long time, you'll get better and better work and you'll get into the industry. That's what you need to do. Out of everything, maybe with the exception of like celebrity children, Hollywood, the film industry is the purest form of meritocracy at the end of the day.
It's a chicken and egg scenario where you want to give diverse creators a chance, but you want to bank on experienced ones who, up until this point, have mostly been white.
Mostly. Emphasis on mostly there, suggesting that it's not this whitewashed thing where only white people are there, like it's just white people. What about those experienced ones that aren't white? Why aren't they doing it? Why aren't they doing anything? They probably have powers and the ability to, help things out, so, yeah.
Here's a fun fact. When there is a diverse director, the diversity among the leading cast increases by 17%.
Well, that seems rather obvious, I guess, but I hope they're diverse because that's what the roles were looking for. That's the look they wanted. Like, not diverse for the sake of diversity.
Look at Donald Glover. His new effects show Atlanta has an entirely black writing staff, which is pretty unheard of. And most of his writers haven't even written for TV before, but at least he's taking a chance in hiring them.
I mean, as long as his selections are rooted in meritocracy, then that's fine. But you're right, at least he's doing something about it.
I can go on all day, but the bottom line is that according to the entertainment industry, the successes of these actors, writers, show creators, and directors lies in the bottom line. And that means us. So if we don't demand it, we're equally at fault.
So we have to make race a massive part in the process of writers, show creators, and directors. I can understand why it would matter when it comes to actors, for example. If they're doing a movie about American slavery, or they're doing a biopic about someone and need to get the look right, or if they're doing something based on a book where the look is clearly established. That makes sense. However, the race of a person isn't going to improve the quality of the writing, or it's going to improve the quality of the movie, or the show idea. It doesn't. Creativity does not have a skin colour. However, I can see that this is coming from a good place. I'll say that. However, I always worry that the pendulum is swinging away too far to the other side, and that people are going to be discriminated against or in favour of due to their skin colour. No one is stopping anyone from becoming a director. No one is stopping anyone from becoming a writer or a producer or an actor or an actress. It's a case of working harder, and the ones that work the hardest win. The film industry is hard for everyone, and it takes dedication, hard work, and thick skin to make it. It takes networking, getting into as many jobs as possible, and also not being an arsehole to people. Believe me, while you still have to have thick skin in this industry, no one likes a dick either. There are people these are people that you might be spending months with. And yeah, just work hard and you'll reap the rewards eventually. If you're not getting the parts, then get a new agent. Put yourself forward. Be assertive. I'm repeating myself, but you get my point, or I hope you do. But what do you guys think? Do you agree or disagree with me? Do you have any experience in the film industry, perhaps? Let me know in the comments. I'd like to thank Omegon for allowing me to do a guest video on his channel, even though every day under his rule is a struggle, and everything I say is policed by his people. I mean, Omegon is good. Omegon is merciful, and Omegon, peace be upon him. May he rule forever. Okay, have a great Omegon-filled day. Help me, Otterface out.